Hey, welcome back to Cowboys News TV. We've got a lot to talk about today. Major moves around the NFL that could shake things up for our Cowboys. So, let's dive right in. The offseason is heating up and some big names are on the move. Russell Wilson just signed a one-year deal with the New York Giants, positioning himself as their likely QB1. Meanwhile, Stefon Diggs secured a massive contract with the New England Patriots, adding some serious firepower to their offense. And then there's Abdul Carter, a name you might not have expected in NFL discussions just yet. But rumor has it the Cleveland Browns are eyeing him as a potential top pick in the draft. Now, you might be wondering, what does all this mean for the Cowboys? Well, let's break it down. Wilson landing with the Giants means we're facing an experienced quarterback twice next season. That alone could shake up the NFC East. Then there's Diggs, whose deal might set the market for wide receivers, which could impact how Dallas handles its own contract negotiations. And the speculation around Abdul Carter? It could shift the entire draft landscape, affecting who's available when the Cowboys are on the clock. Before we get into the details of these moves and how they might impact the Cowboys, I want to hear from you. Which of these offseason moves do you think will have the biggest effect on Dallas? Drop your answer in the comments. Russell Wilson to the Giants, Stefon Diggs to the Patriots, Abdul Carter's draft rumors. Vote below and let's see what the majority of Cowboys Nation thinks. All right, now that we've set the stage, let's take a closer look at Russell Wilson's move to the Giants and what it means for the Cowboys this season. So, Russell Wilson is officially a New York Giant. Let that sink in for a second. After a rough stint in Denver, Wilson is looking for redemption, and the Giants are giving him that shot with a one-year deal. Now, here's the key question. Does this move actually make the Giants a bigger threat in the NFC East? Wilson's experience can't be ignored. He's a Super Bowl champion, a 9-time Pro Bowler, and despite his struggles with the Broncos, he still has the ability to make plays under pressure. The Giants also added Jameis Winston, so they now have two quarterbacks with starting experience. But let's be honest, Wilson is the guy they expect to lead the way. Impact on the NFC East for the Cowboys, this changes things. Instead of facing a young, inexperienced quarterback, we're now looking at a veteran who's been in big moments before. Does that mean the Giants are suddenly contenders? Not necessarily. Wilson isn't the same player he was in Seattle, and the Giants still have major roster concerns, but this move does make them a more competent team. The bigger concern? If Wilson plays well, the Giants could be more dangerous than expected. The NFC East is already competitive with the Eagles and Cowboys battling for the top spot. If the Giants find some momentum, they could shake things up more than we'd like. How should the Cowboys prepare? Dan Quinn built this defense to thrive against pocket passers and mobile QBs alike. Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence will need to bring the heat, forcing Wilson to move. Because let's face it, he's not as quick as he used to be. The secondary, led by Stefon Diggs and Darren Bland, will also need to be on high alert, especially if the Giants try to stretch the field. But what do you think? Are you worried about facing Russell Wilson twice next season? Vote in the comments. Why? Yes, Wilson could be a problem, and no, the Cowboys' defense will handle him. Next, we turn to another major move, Stefon Diggs joining the Patriots and how that affects the Cowboys. All right, let's talk about Stefon Diggs. The Patriots made a big move, signing him to a 3-year, $69 million deal with $26 million guaranteed. That's a statement. New England has been searching for a true number one receiver for years, and now they have one. But here's where things get interesting. What does this mean for the Cowboys? The wide receiver market. Just changed Diggs' contract sets a new benchmark. If you're a Cowboys fan, you already know the big question looming. What does this mean for CeeDee Lamb's next deal? Lamb is due for a massive extension, and now that Diggs has secured his payday, you better believe Lamb's price just went up. Would you pay Lamb top-tier money to keep him in Dallas long-term? Drop a comment below. Yes. Lock him in as our WR1 for years to come. No. We should be cautious with a massive contract impact on the Cowboys' defense. Another thing to consider. What if the Cowboys and Patriots meet in the playoffs? Diggs gives New England a legitimate weapon, and that means Trevon Diggs might have to cover his own brother in a high-stakes game. That's a matchup every football fan would want to see. But even if the Cowboys don't face New England this season, this move could still shift the market and influence how Dallas builds its roster. The front office will have to think long and hard about how much they're willing to invest in their receiving core moving forward. Now, speaking of big moves, there's a major draft rumor that could shake things up for the Cowboys. Are the Browns really considering Abdul Carter with the number 2 pick? Let's break it down next. Now, let's dive into the NFL draft, and trust me, this one's big for the Cowboys. Abdul Carter, the linebacker from Penn State, is rumored to be the Browns' top pick at number 2 overall. Adam Schefter even said it's likely Carter lands in Cleveland. But why does this matter to Dallas? The Browns' pick could impact the Cowboys' draft strategy. If the Browns do pull the trigger on Carter, it could shift the entire draft board, especially for the Cowboys. Carter's a beast. He's a sideline-to-sideline linebacker with elite physicality, and with the Browns snagging him early, some top-tier players the Cowboys are eyeing could still be available at number 26, or even slip lower. But here's the thing. If Carter goes to the Browns, there's a strong chance that other positions, like cornerback, wide receiver, or even edge rusher, could now be more accessible for the Cowboys. Think about it. Does this change what the Cowboys should do with their first pick? What about the Cowboys' needs? You already know the Cowboys need to fill a few gaps. Defensive line, cornerback, and perhaps even a wide receiver are all areas they'll likely target. Carter's selection by the Browns could help push more premium talent to Dallas's range. Would you prefer Carter's skill set in Dallas, or would you rather see the Cowboys go in another direction? Drop your thoughts below. A. Draft Abdul Carter if he's available. B. We should pass and focus on another need. So, with that in mind, let's look ahead to the Cowboys' draft strategy. What should they prioritize? Is it a defensive player to complement Parsons, or should the team focus on building the offense for Dak? Let's dive into that in the final chapter. All right, we've covered a lot of ground today, but let's quickly recap the big takeaways. First, we talked about how some of the huge NFL moves, like Russell Wilson's signing with the Giants, Stefon Diggs heading to the Patriots, and the Abdul Carter rumors, could all have a ripple effect on the Dallas Cowboys. These moves could change the landscape of the NFC East, impact how the Cowboys draft, and even influence their strategies for the upcoming season. What do you think? Now it's time to hear from you, the Cowboys Nation. We've got a lot of exciting things on the horizon, and your input matters more than ever. How do you feel about these moves? Do you think Russell Wilson will challenge the Cowboys in a way we're not expecting? Or do you think the Patriots' signing of Diggs will ultimately push the Cowboys to make a bigger play for their own wide receiver? Let's keep this conversation going in the comments. Here are some questions to get you started. Does Russell Wilson's addition to the Giants worry you? Or do you think the Cowboys are ready for him? Should the Cowboys go after a player like Abdul Carter if he falls to them in the draft? What's your take on Stefon Diggs' deal with the Patriots, and how will that impact the Cowboys' future negotiations? Closing thoughts and call to action. As always, I'm incredibly grateful for the support you all give to Cowboys News TV. You keep this community strong, and I couldn't do this without you. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on the latest news and analysis for America's team. Also, make sure to turn on notifications so you're always in the loop. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video. Go Cowboys!